SCAR 16S, probably one of the most recognizable rifles behind the AKM and the M16. Now, this is a video that we've been wanting to do for a very long time, but we took our time because FN made a couple changes and we wanted to make sure we were thorough with it. In any case, the SCAR is made by FN in Belgium, who are famous for waffles and murder. Now it's made in South Carolina, which is just dirty. In any case, I hope you guys will join us as we talk about the SCAR L today on Garand. Now, before we do, we want to give a big shout out to our sponsors. We, of course, have the biggest sponsor of the channel, and that is the Sonoran Desert Institute. A big thank you to them if you're looking to get into gunsmithing. They are your guys. Go and check them out. They absolutely rock, and we cannot thank them enough. Now, this particular video is sponsored by Aura, and we'll talk more about them in just a little bit. Ladies, gentlemen, my often forgotten, but most certainly not by me, Short Stroke Gas Piston Systems. Welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about the SCAR L. Now, before we do, I want to go through full disclosure. What is my relationship with FN, who makes this? So the first model that I had was a SCAR 16S, which had a reciprocating charging handle. Now, we linked up with FN, and they also sent us the new non-reciprocating charging handle model as well, which is why this review is slightly delayed. Now, in this case, the short barrel, which is a factory from FN, was purchased by me. Everything else purchased by me, but of course, the weapon itself is from FN. The ammunition was sponsored from Norma, who is our ammunition sponsor. A big thank you to them. And no money was exchanged at all between me or FN or any company to pay for this review. In any case, this is pretty typical rifle for the review. So without further ado, that rhymed. Let's get into it. So we're going to do what my boys down at Medina love. We're going to go tip to butt on this particular rifle. We're going to talk about it, what makes it good, what makes it bad. But before we do, let's talk about what it is. So the SCAR L is a 5.56 by 45 millimeter rifle. It, of course, is magazine fed. 30 round detachable magazines will fit anything that is Stenag, and it is a short stroke gas operated weapon. That being said, it has a very interesting mechanism, which we'll talk about in a little bit. It has been a pain for a lot of guys with optics. In any case, we're going to go ahead and we're going to start at the very tip here. Now, this is my first problem that I have with the SCAR L. We're going to pop up a picture right here, but on the SCAR 16, it's very odd, but it has a PWS muzzle brake. In my mind, the SCAR 16 in every way was meant to be a fighting rifle. So why they would include a muzzle brake on a 16-inch SCAR doesn't make a lot of sense. The muzzle brake just isn't a good muzzle device for a combat weapon. Now, that being said, the short barrel variant, which we have on this guy right here, had a 3-prong from FN, which was absolutely awesome. That being said, of course, these muzzle devices can be easily changed, so it's not that big of a deal. It was just kind of an odd choice, I think, for the main system. In this case, we do have a Knight's Armament 3-prong. That way we can mount our Knight's Armament QDC can. Now, if you guys know anything about the SCAR, you know that when you mount a suppressor to this bad boy, that it invalidates your warranty if you begin to fire it. Now, I wasn't sure if this was true, so I spoke directly to FN about this, and I was really surprised actually when they're like, yes, this is true. If you do mount a suppressor to this weapon, your warranty is screwed pretty much. They'll work with you, they'll get it fixed, but you're kind of out of warranty at that point. It's so odd for a weapon post-2020, hell, post-2015, to not work well with a suppressor, especially for a suppressor to invalidate your warranty, and especially on a $3,000 weapon. And you'll find that that is kind of my go-to on this. For such an expensive weapon, there are some odd choices on the SCAR that make it kind of not the choice for you. What's even more bizarre about the SCAR is that it does have a position to decrease the amount of gas going back to the bolt carrier, specifically for a suppressed setting. So if you push it over, that is the suppressed setting. And to be clear, with the QDC mounted, this thing is absolutely awesome. It is extremely manageable, extremely soft recoiling, so little gas in my face. This weapon was meant to be run suppressed in my mind. So I just don't like it that they're like, yeah, your warranty's screwed if you put a suppressor on there. Super odd for such a large company, for such an expensive weapon. It really kind of put a bad taste in my mouth when I started this review off. We're going to move from that. I don't want to harp on it too much. We're going to talk about the barrel. Much like your X, cold-hearted, it is a cold hammer forged barrel. Now, unlike your X, it's not going to hurt you just going to hurt others. But for real though, a cold hammer forged barrel is a wonderful thing to have on a fighting rifle. And the reason for that is a cold hammer forged barrel is simply going to last a larger number of rounds. Mostly it's for weapons that are firing in automatic, but even still as a civilian or whatever you want to call yourself, a citizen who should be allowed to own these no problem willy-nilly, it's going to be an excellent thing. Cold hammer forged barrels are what I like to see, so I'm very impressed with the barrel. And beyond that, this is an extremely accurate weapon. Now, it's hard to beat the just rugged reliability and accuracy that you see from an AR-15, but the SCAR gets pretty damn close. And with the 77 grain OTMs from Black Hills, we are printing about 1 MOA or less. And could we have done less? Possibly. It's probably me as a shooter not being able to push the weapon, but it is a very accurate weapon. And especially when we come to this little boy right here, this little 10-inch model, 10 inches is small, we were easily able to hit about the max effective range. So the max effective range on this guy is purported to be anywhere from 300 to 350. Nailing silhouettes at 350, 400 is absolutely no problem with this guy. Just an absolute breeze to fire and to keep this thing on target and to just drill targets. So when we speak to the heart of the weapon, the barrel, it is very, very exceptional in my opinion. Now this video is sponsored by Aura. Do you know what the fastest growing crime in the United States is? And surprisingly, it's not putting stocks on unregistered SPRs. It is identity theft, and it's not a joke. For years, this crime has been plaguing millions of Americans. In fact, 1 out of 20 Americans are affected by it. In fact, I myself have had credit card information stolen, and it sucks. Obviously, the bank takes care of it, but you know what? It is just time that is sucked out of my day trying to get that managed. It could be way worse. When you could try to log in your email, just no-go. Just everything changed and gone. Or at the very worst, maybe one of your children gets their identity stolen, they go to apply for student loans, and just a no-go. Credit is wrecked, and it's just going to take a lot of time to fix that. And time is very valuable to me, and that is why we are so excited to be partnering with Aura. Aura is identity theft protection, fraud monitoring, a VPN, password management, and antivirus all in one easy-to-use app. And maybe you already have one like this, but you know what? Only having one is like leaving the front door locked with the back door open. Aura monitors the dark web for your phone number, your name, your social security number, and more. And if it detects any activity, it alerts your phone and email. When it comes to fraud, every second counts. Connect your bank accounts, your saving accounts, and you can be alerted up to 4 times faster compared to competitors. Aura also has a family plan that can keep up to 5 people protected, whether it be you and your kids or your parents and some kids, whatever, depends on how big your family is. A big thank you to them. You start your free trial right here. Check the link in the description as well. Thank you. Let's get back to it. Now, moving back there, we have to talk about the Handguard. Maybe not, a Handguard isn't a good description of it, as clearly this entire unit is monolithic when it comes to the upper. Nonetheless, when you get it, there is Picatinny on all sides, both the sides. You have the 3 o'clock, the 9 o'clock, and of course the 6 o'clock. So 2010 called and they want their rail back. But I understand, quad rail gang, that's very cool. At the same time, in post 2020, coming out with a weapon with, in my opinion, such poor ergonomics is very questionable. So of course, in our case, we have changed a lot on this. On the bottom right here, it is typically a full-sized Picatinny rail. We have removed that. We have the PMM bottom rail deletion kit. As well on the sides, you can see we have these panels right here on both sides, and those are also rail deletion kits. Now beyond there, we have, of course, had the extended rails right here that push it right up to the muzzle, and the suppressor obviously still fits. This makes for a much more ergonomic package that allows me to push my light up further to ensure I'm not getting light splash across the muzzle device or across my suppressor as much, and is just a better system. So I really do wish that in many ways that the SCAR would come configured like this from the factory. And I understand this is a very personal choice, but if I'm going to review a gun, I'm going to talk about what I would like on it. This is how the SCAR should come from the factory. This is incredible. When I grip this weapon, this is just how it should be from the factory. But enough of that. Obviously, I have problems with the handguards given that this is such an expensive weapon. Now, going back from there, we do have our operating system. Now, with the new SCAR, we have a lot of really good things happening. So on the original SCAR 16 or SCAR 17, SCAR 8, SCAR L, when you'd fire the weapon, every time you pull the trigger, that entire charging handle would just go flying back, right? It was a reciprocating charging handle, which was at the request of SOCOM. This has much been a beleaguering point that people have pointed out on the SCAR about how annoying that is to have a reciprocating charging handle, especially given that how short the handguard on the SCAR is, your hand is typically right up against it. So guys are coming up with a bunch of, wacky designs to make it work, or to switch the charging handle, and I mean everything. So finally, with FN's new update, which removes the reciprocation, now every time you fire the weapon, the charging handle does not reciprocate. That being said, on the last round, through some obscure Belgian magic, that thing will lock back, and then of course you can drop it at that point. Very odd. I try not to think about it. It really terrifies me, and for a couple nights I didn't sleep. In any case, that non-reciprocating update to the SCAR has made this a far more enjoyable weapon in so many ways. Now beyond that, the SCAR is a very odd weapon. So although it is a short stroke gas piston system, it is the envy of all gas piston systems due to the girth. I'll show you right here. So as you can see, the charging handles are removable. You can swap those either side. We have those right there. Action spring, and of course we got this long boy right there. So compared to most short stroke gas piston designs, this is something that's much more reminiscent of an AK with a long piston, although it is very short stroke. It is the envy of all short stroke piston designs. And this extra weight, of course, allows for it to be a very smooth operating system, which is kind of contrary to what I would typically think. When I think of a smooth system with little recoil, I think of something with less weight. But it really does work for the SCAR, so you have to really give it to their engineers for doing something quite excellent. In any case, it should be noted at how pleasant the recoil impulse on the FN SCAR L is. A lot of people believe that due to it being a piston-operated weapon, that like many other piston-operated weapons, it's going to be a bit of a bitch in the recoil department, but I found nothing of the sorts. The recoil on this guy is just extremely pleasant, even on this short-barreled variant, and so there's a lot to be said about that. And beyond that, I think what is really interesting about this entire operating system is sometimes things just work. I don't know if it's from the amount of waffle makers that they've made or what it is, or just their love of firearms, but the Belgians, specifically FN, really got the design right, where the SCAR L, specifically the 16-inch version, is known for having insane parts longevity. There are receivers with no major parts breakages that are well over 200,000 rounds. That's both from military sources as well from Battlefield Vegas, who keeps really good notes on all of their rentals. FN really got it right. The question is, does this matter to somebody like near you? Am I ever going to put 200,000 rounds on one SCAR? I hope. That'd be a really good day. That means ammo is really plentiful, but probably not. That being said, what it does speak to is how well these are put together, and specifically that you can expect these to last for a very long time. Now, of course, you will have to replace springs and extractors and all that good stuff that is needed in a typical maintenance cycle. But as far as your main parts, your major parts holding up, they're going to be good to go. So if for whatever reason you're going to be launching to another planet to invade, I don't know, or if you're just stuck in your basement and you're too fat to climb up the stairs and you're going to be operating down there forever, SCAR's it, man. You don't have to worry about parts. All right, moving back from there, we do have our controls. Now, the controls on the SCAR are very AR-like. Ergo, they're awesome. So we have our magazine release on the side right here. It's nice and fenced in. That way you don't accidentally release a magazine. You won't have an accidental release there. And then on the other side, of course, we have another magazine release. So that is ambi for my lefties out there. I'm sure you guys are very excited about that. Our bolt catch and our bolt release are quite simple to operate. So, of course, we have standard AR type reload. If you want to lock that back, you can also just push down on it just like an AR-15. So again, reloads are very simple. You're simply going to, if you have a mag in there, you're going to drop your empty, put it in your loaded, and then you're good to go at that point. So SCAR is just a good, simple platform, and I really love the sound the SCAR makes as it sends that round home into the chamber. Just safety is awesome. Safety is awesome. What I really like about the safety is that it is a simple 45-degree throw. So when I go to fire, man, that is fast on this gun. For whatever reason, I find myself to be exceptionally fast on this particular weapon. And of course, the opposite side, if you are shooting long range, you can easily click over on that side, or if you're left-handed, you have your safety right there. Now, with all that good being said about FN, we have some bad things coming up. First bad thing is the grip. It's so odd to me that on a weapon that is this expensive that we have an A2 grip from the factory. An A2 grip is literally a $3 minus part. They are everywhere. They are super simple. They're made everywhere. That's the grip that they chose on this expensive rifle. And I understand you can change it for something else, but why not include a better grip like a BCM right out of the factory? Like, why? Why? It annoys me to no extent. I really wish they'd have something better from the factory. And that also goes for the trigger. To have such a nice, expensive gun and just include just an absolute, just crap mil-spec trigger, I don't know. So in this particular weapon, we do have a Geisley because again, if I'm gonna be shooting this thing a lot, I want this thing to just fuck. So in any case, we have a Geisley in here. The question, how good is the Geisley? About to find out. So put your finger right over mine, little Unchained Melody. Let's go to that trigger. We have a millimeter play right there. Hit our first wall. Let off at approximately maybe 3 pounds right there. All right, let's go ahead and seal that one more time. All right, reset, less than a millimeter, and I'm right back on that wall. 3 pounds, probably less. Dude, that is fast. That is a fast trigger right there. And honestly, that's what it should come with. It should come with these upgrades, right? It should come with a good grip. It should come with a good trigger. It should come with a modern design for a handguard for how expensive it is. All right, I digress. I'm not gonna bring it up. Now, from there, I wanna talk about something that's really wonderful about the SCAR. Sights. The sights on this guy are just absolutely phenomenal. The front sight is simple to use. It is awesome. It is high to pick up. The iron sight at the rear is probably one of the best iron sights that comes on any factory gun. So there's a lot to be said about it. It is very similar to the FG42. I respect that quite a bit. And it's just an awesome design. I can't imagine the amount of money that they put into making these, but you can tell they put a lot of quality into these iron sights right there. So really good on them, extremely usable from the factory. Honestly, this guy's completely fine with iron sights. They're that good. So from those iron sights, we're gonna go with the stock. Fun fact, the stock is actually made by UGG. So you might think that it looks like an UGG boot, and we'll put a picture right here, but it actually is, it's not. But extremely unfortunate that it looks so similar. In any case, as you can see on mine, I have replaced it with a KDG with the Magpul ACR Masada stock because a couple things. I think it feels better. I think it looks better, especially on a short gun. And I just like it more, quite honestly. There's nothing wrong with the SCAR stock, the typical one. I just don't believe that it works nearly as well as this upgraded one. Now, it should be known that many people have said that this adapter right here for the ACR stock, which is metal, causes some issues with resonance in the weapon and can damage it further compared to the plastic one on the typical FN SCAR. I haven't seen that personally. I've ran a couple, at this point, 6,000 rounds on SCARs with stocks like this, 3,000 on this particular guy right here. And I've run into no issues. I don't doubt these people. It should be noted, I just can't corroborate that with my own experiences. It should be said that a lot of people have said that the SCAR maunches optics. It kills them. Probably more so the SCAR H than the SCAR L. And the reason for that is that heavy bolt carrier slamming forward is just kind of hard on optics. That being said, of all these modern optics that I've used on SCARs, I haven't had a single optic break. Anything from Aimpoint Comp M5s to cheap primary arms, LPVOs, and red dots. I've just never had a single problem. So I think it was a problem perhaps with earlier optics, because I certainly haven't seen it today on any modern ones. In any case, that kind of brings us to the end of the SCAR. So the question is, for the $4,000 it took me to buy the rifle, get this thing upgraded, and just make it just rock hard, was it worth it compared to, like, let's say a really good AR-15 build, like a URGI from Geisley with a Geisley lower or what have you, with all these upgrades that come from them straight off the bat where I can mount a suppressor to those guys and it doesn't invalidate my warranty? Probably not. If I was looking to buy a rifle and I didn't have a good fighting rifle, I would probably go for an AR-15, a really nice one, over the SCAR. Now, that being said, if you have everything under the sun and you're really looking to, you know, try out different platforms, this is awesome. Like I said, again, in every way, I find this to be an exceptional platform now that it's upgraded. It's just, man, that price is steep. And no matter what, it kind of doesn't matter in the end, because if you suck, you still suck. So make sure that you get training, guys, because as cool as this guy looks right here, if you don't train, you're still just going to be really valuable loot drop for somebody. So get out there and get training. Haley Strategic, Bear Solutions, Cogworks, Pat McNamara, tons of great guys out there. Become the weapon. These are cool. These are the tools. You are what matters. You matter. Don't forget that. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you guys. I've got nothing else for you. Final thing for you guys. I've said it before. I'll say it again. If you're not fit, you're going to die. Sooner. Possibly way sooner if there's a conflict.